Good weekend, all. Ira Epstein with your weekend edition of your... Good weekend, all. Ira Epstein with your weekend edition of your financial market wrap-up. This is going to use the weekly charts, and we are sitting here on Friday the 13th, 2025. Well, I'm not going to keep going over what's going on between Israel and Iran because it's going to change over the weekend. They're going to be hitting each other pretty good. It looks to me like Israel's clearing the landscape so its planes and its other devices can go in pretty much unscathed. That doesn't mean the planes won't get shot down, but they're probably not in the danger that they could have been. And the fact that they've taken out the heads of so many of the departments, military departments, and nuclear scientists, I'd bet on them over what's going on. I was surprised how fast Iran turned down meeting with the United States because there's an out here, and the Iranians can do it. All right. I like that Netanyahu pleaded to the people, this is your shot, overthrow the government, get yourselves a better life. That could well be the case. You know, we keep hearing how the people are suppressed. Here you've got the opening. Maybe they'll go for it. Enough of the politics. We'll talk about the war in a minute. I want to remind everybody, we've got our Father's Day sale happening now. It ends on Monday, so if you wait, you won't get it. But you can see a third off any of my research packages. Basically, you're paying for 2 months and you're getting 3 months, so you're getting a third off. How do you take advantage? You go to iraepstein.com. Everything's explained there. You don't need a code. Right up through here, you will see there's icons. You can give those a click at any time as well. All right, so let's come back over here because I want to come on now and talk about the little bit of news that we're going to have. And in that little bit of news, you're going to get the Fed Empire State Manufacturing on Monday. And they'll look at that. Last month's reading was a negative 9.2. They expect it now at a negative 6. That's not 6. It's a negative 6. Baker Hughes rig count fell another 4. That doesn't work for the president, but that works for the oil company. So this big surge we had today in oil, will that bring people back? Nope. And the reason is it's off of a war in the Middle East that can end like that. So a lot depends. Could it bring them back if Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz and can keep that hurt for a while? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You could see oil go up dramatically higher if that were the case. Remember how much of the oil that goes to China comes out of those straits. So I'm hoping that China has a talk with Iran and says, don't you dare close those straits. We have been your benefactor. We bought your oil. Don't shut things off. Israel so far hasn't hit the oil, which I find interesting. But, you know, the weekend, this is Friday. Who knows where we'll be come Sunday night. So let's take a look at the market action and see what went on. When you and I take a look, let me start over here. Stock market down big. It tried to rally intraday, but that's not going to work. There's too many unknowns, and these unknowns aren't bullish for the market. They're potentially bearish. The gold got a bid. Silver barely hung on, but it is up 6 cents. Copper rallied nicely off the lows. It was still down 21 cents, 210. 21 cents is what it is, 2 cents, 2.1 cents a pound, but doing better. And platinum down a lot, but platinum's been the strongest market. The dollar with a bid, it didn't stay near the day's highs, and most of the currencies, as you can see, down. Now we have the G7, all the heads of the G7 countries, and a number of non-G7 are going to Canada. They'll start flying in on Sunday. The meetings will begin. And you know everybody's going to want the ear of the president. They're going to want to make certain that their tariffs aren't going to be terribly hurt because they haven't done deals. Most countries other than the UK haven't got a deal. So everybody else there, you know what they're going to be talking about. Certainly you'll hear talk about Iran and Israel. But these are big boys. They know it's not going to spread. They know that Iran, in desperation, might try to make an atomic weapon. Maybe they'll surprise everybody. I don't know. I have no way of knowing. But anything could happen, and that's on everyone's mind. Bonds and notes got decimated today. The people weren't running to buy the dollar, and they weren't running to buy the U.S. bonds and notes. That's evident. And in the grain market, pretty dramatic moves happening in some of the markets. Soy oil was limit bid, and it kicked the beans up sharply, as you can see. So you had good gains in those two markets. So as we take a look at the S&P, you're not far from the all-time high. It's still so easy to go after. And for the week, even with all that happened today in the decline, you're at this point finishing, well, you're halfway. What are we in the month? Maybe not quite a third. I guess that's the right grammar. Up 1% for the month. On the week, you were down 0.5%. That's not such a big break in the market. And you could see that you're still basically within striking distance of 61.33, the all-time high close. When we take a look at where the market's at in relation to this number, what we could have here is the makings of an inverted head and shoulder. The shoulder, a head, coming up for a shoulder. You get a little bit of a dip possibly, and if you flipped over this, watch out. That thing calls for a big move. On the other hand, it could be a double top that's forming. A lot of unknowns, but this did not look like a market that came unglued to me. The trend is still up. You have higher lows, higher highs on the chart. You're still over the 18-week moving average. That tells me that on breaks, the buyers will probably look for support at the 57.34 area. We'll see what's going to happen this week. We don't know what we're walking into, and I think you realize that as you come right into this market. Come Sunday night. I don't know what the news is going to be, what the two countries are going to do to each other. Higher lows, higher highs. And by the way, in between all that, we're going to get that G7 news. So you got to pay attention to that. So I still look for the support here. You're nowhere near the upper band, and to get it, you got to clear the highs. So in order to get to the upper Bollinger Band, it's going to be difficult. You've got to go up through the highs. Now, what could make the market go through the highs? I can tell you right now. Iran capitulates, agrees to not enrich or make any more uranium. Done deal, all over for them. And that would end all this. And you'd probably get a heck of a rally in the markets. In the S&P, you're overbought. So you have an overbought market attacking an area that it's been having weeks, not a few weeks, weeks. 5-6 weeks in a row where you're over the 18-week average, but you can't punch through those highs. When we go to the Dow, here's your contract highs, so you can see where you're at. Here too, not quite as many weeks over the 18-week average, but you're over it. The negative would be getting under 41,651. You're overbought, nowhere near the same chart pattern as the S&P. More similar in the NASDAQ, a shoulder, a potential head, and the making of another shoulder. An inverted head and shoulder, if you pick this up and you put it there, I got to get you scared, but you could be up to the 2,900 level very easily, 29,000 level. Not 100, 29,000. So it's something to keep your eye on. Doesn't mean it'll work, but it's what you look at. You're overbought, trend up, bias up. So they're not bad. And even the Russell on a weekly basis held together. The market has an uptrend with higher lows, higher highs. It's over all the key moving averages. Its support is right through here. Again, an overbought market. So we're going to have G7. We've got the war situation in the Middle East. And then we have the Fed giving us rate decisions. So if you think it's going to be an easy week, it's going to be wild. And then we have Juneteenth. So that's coming up on Thursday where the markets are closed. Higher lows, higher highs. That's coming up soon, so be aware of it. I sent the schedule out to all of you that are my subscribers already for that probably a couple hours ago. Lower highs, lower lows, and you can see how the market is coming here, oversold. So in the bond market, all we had off of all this was a bear market rally into the 18-week average of closes where I think the pros sold the market, going short, still betting that the markets are coming down. I was not impressed today as to what happened. Now, to get you nervous in the market that something bad is really happening, if you take out, that's what I want to say, if you take out not this week, but the week before's highs, right through here, and that high was 111.12. If you take that out this week, that could get you nervous. You'd get higher lows, higher highs. Okay, what would that mean? Lower interest rates. So that would be it. Who's in control of the market going home? The bear still is in this market. In the dollar index, lower highs, lower lows, still bearish with an embedded reading. I don't give up any of my thoughts on it. This market's quite negative. You're trying to set up, as you can see, a market that might be able to embed here. Both numbers over 80 this week. Both, you can call it, let's give it the benefit of both at 80 or above, not the week before. It's an important week. If the market embeds, I think you go on to the 117 level and a lot lower in the U.S. dollar. In the Canadian dollar, higher lows, higher highs. The market is fighting its battle, as you can see right here at the upper bowl. Well, let me say it the right way. Embedded reading right here in between the 100-day average and the upper Bollinger Band. This is one of the stronger currencies. A lot of the others back and forth action. The Canadians looking one of the absolute strongest. In the Japanese yen on a weekly chart, higher lows, lower highs. So you're narrowing in like that on this. I give the bias to the upside, momentum to the downside. It's too difficult. In Bitcoin, making a run here. The question is, do you take out the lows not of this week, the week before? If you don't, then the Bollinger Band is the target. What about embedding? Both numbers are not over 80, so you're just overbought in the market. The bulls are in control. The bias is up. The trend is up. But if you take out 2 weeks ago's low, and I'll give it to you right through here, that's 107,495, then I'll make an argument that maybe you can get back into that 18-week average of closes is the proper grammar, at 94,156. When you look at the energies, you can see that the differential between Brent and the U.S. just narrowing in very dramatically, and the Brent took off today. Where did it stop? Learn Bollinger Bands. Tell me that you don't see that. I mean, it sold off pretty nicely from that, actually. The trend is up. And that's where I think the pros that had gambled that something would happen and it exploded this week on them, which was basically today, I think they're very happy and they probably took some money off the table. I think the same thing went with the WTI, the combination that you hear me say so often here. Bollinger Band, 100-week average, first time you're hitting it on a weekly chart. Even though the momentum's up, it's not embedded. I think they took money off the table. Rebob gasoline, same thing. And Rebob gas, if this whole thing goes crazy, you could get back to the 250 level. That will throw a real wrench into President Trump talking about all the prices are down. And I agree with one thing. That wouldn't be his fault. It would be that craziness of what's going on in the Middle East, but it would still impact his programs. So you put this together, you try to come up with the game plan, and the best game plan you have is you. All I have to do is throw an idea at you that maybe gets you to move on something that you were thinking of doing anyways, and away you go. $34 for 3 months, I think you can spring for this. My research, when you get my full research, and remember, all of these get you my special reports. So there's a number of people out there that you realize you're paying $350 a special report when it comes out. This is a pretty neat way to get them, and I'm going to do one this coming week. I'm Ira. You take care of yourself. Have a great weekend. Have a happy Father's Day. I'll see you in the other videos and, of course, Monday morning.